Welcome to the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Roberts. I'm the author of the book It's Deeper Than That and the founder of The Great Reconnection. And I am absolutely thrilled. Actually, I've been anticipating this for a while, of having Davia Williams Stevenson on with us here today. And Davia, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, it is my pleasure. I've been looking forward to it as well. We scheduled this a long time ago.
Yes, we
So
did.
I was going to be in town on February 27th. I didn't have access to my computer for sure. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. You all are in for a treasure here today, having Davia with us. And I'm actually going to start in a place I didn't think I was going to start because of things we were just talking about. I always take a moment with my guests to do a centering and what do we want to set an intention for. And in our centering, I brought in like how our ancestors are behind us. And through that, something came up for you, Davia. And will you share that with our listeners?
Yes, it was a moment. I said I might need a moment to gather myself, but just looking at my image in the computer on the screen, I saw my mom. My mom has been gone for 34 years. It'll be 34
Wow.
years in about a month. And so much of my adult life, all my momming and wifing and any career moves I've made, she's not been on earth present with me, I'll say, as a guide. And I've missed her very much. And I've always heard how I look just like my dad. But as I age and as I embody myself, I am very much like my mother. And that was a role in our family and all that I didn't want. I didn't want it. She was big and she was important and she was cool and wise and all of these things that people say that I am and I'm learning to begin to embrace. And I saw her. I'm looking at my image and I look like my mother to me in this moment. And it caught me off guard. So I don't know what that means in the spiritual realm, but I certainly am going to receive that as mom is present, mom is proud, and anything that comes out of my mouth that is wise or useful, I will believe that she's a part of it.
Thank you so much. It's so touching for me to hear
Mm.
that. And you're saying a couple things I would love to explore with you because you were saying that your mom was big and that you feel like you're growing into your bigness. So I would love for you to talk about what's inspirational about her being big and what you're finding inspirational inside of you to become big. And what are some of the barriers both inside of you and outside of you that have limited your bigness?
Wow, Suzanne, of course your question, first question out the gate would be so layered
It is.
and so intuitive. So let's talk about my mother's bigness. It's funny to think of Thelma and say big. She was actually a petite woman, little tiny waist, spoke in Virginia slims, which is probably partly what took her life. You know, that generation, we didn't know about the connection between heart disease and cigarettes. Her bigness, when I look back as an adult on the years I had my mother, and I was my early 20s when she left. So, like I said, much of my adulthood was without her, but she was just, people were drawn to her. My friends, long after my friends, we grew up and moved to different states and started our lives, and would talk to my mom, would call my mother or go visit my mom. She very much stayed a presence. Our kitchen table, think about our kitchen table in Oklahoma City. We had a round table, and they called it Thelma's Round Table.
Wow.
And how you would come and sit around Thelma's round table and you would get told, okay, you would learn about life, you could get inspired, but listen, if you weren't ready to hear about your stuff, you didn't want to sit around Thelma's round table. But she loved you, so you were drawn to it, even if you had to experience some tough truth about yourself. I was having a conversation with someone not too long ago I said that I am exactly who my mother said I was, and I fought every bit of it. Every bit of it. But I'm
Interesting.
exactly who she said. I just small things like one of my gifts is hospitality. Everyone knows I can be ready. Call me, give me 15 minutes, and I'm ready for you. It looks like a party is prepared for you. I'm ready because I think it's because I love to welcome people into my space. Doesn't have to be perfect. I don't care if there's laundry in the chair you want to sit in. Move it or fold it, but come on in and sit down. And I
Nice.
never wanted to host anything. She used to make me host parties as a teenager Because she says, Davia, you're going to need to know how to have a party. And I thought that was ridiculous. I thought that was elitist. Who needs to do that? But I tell you, I'm the one that people call on. I'm always ready to have people into my home. I love it. It's where I love you. It's where I hope you feel seen. Now I understand why people came to Thelma's Round Table. You felt seen. We were talking about one of your other podcasts and something that the guest said, Kate Wilson, talked about wanting to be seen and not viewed. And I think that nugget, she defined it a little differently than I heard it in my spirit. I think we view people all day long. That's why we're able to see them and judge rather than be curious.
Mhm.
When we want to see someone, we see them, we approach it with curiosity. I think that's what people experienced with my mother. I think part of that energy is what I understand that many experience with me. I'm curious about you, about your life, about your dreams. I'm willing to just be present. I don't have a lot of judgment. I don't have a lot of embarrassment. I figure I'm stupid sometimes.
We all are.
And so if I can be stupid sometimes, so can you, right? So let's dispense with that being a barrier, right?
It sounds like your mom was like a queen holding court, and you have your own way of holding court.
Mm, that's a good word picture. She was.
And
She
you
was.
too. You have your own way of holding court in terms of being present with people, whether they're part of a healing journey or whether they're working on their relationship or whatever it is. It's from my listening to you that you are like a transformational agent for healing and hope and change. Would you agree with me?
That is my heart's desire, and I'm
Right.
beginning to embrace that. Yes.
So that's perhaps a way you as queen hold your court, with presence, with welcoming, with fortitude, with faith, and with unapologetic living. What do you think about what I'm saying?
I love what you're saying. It's what I want to be. I believe it is who I am. I am grown in, we talked about our bigness
Mm-hmm.
and claiming that bigness.
Yeah.
So I also grew up in a generation where you didn't self-promote. You were very careful to be humble. And so some of this embracing those things that are my bigness, my genius or my space, my sphere, and fully owning that it's a gift.
Yes.
They're gifts. And so you want to fully expose a gift. If I forget that it's a gift and I think I just own it, that's where arrogance, this fear of embodiment rests. And so the more that I look at my life's journey, and part of my journey, I'm a two-time cancer survivor, and that first cancer should have taken me out. My
Wow.
first cancer, I was diagnosed at 17 years old, bone cancer, osteosarcoma.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
it's its own huge story. Yes, I had osteosarcoma at 17. Incredible story. It would take up your whole time if I told you all the details, but that was probably my first real encounter with purpose.
Mm.
The assumption was I was going to die, but still, it's a very deadly cancer because it strikes young people and there are no symptoms other than pain, and young people ignore pain. It's usually found during a bone break. There was a movie not too long ago about someone who had it from scratch, I think it's called, starring Zoe Saldana. Her Italian husband had osteosarcoma in the early 20s and he died from it. Still happens. But I'm still here. Then 20 some odd years later, I got breast cancer, completely different cancers. So there's a whole lot of reason for me. I live in gratitude. I feel like every year is a bonus. I didn't expect to be here. I'm a grandmother. I didn't know to dream for that. I didn't think I'd be here. So every day is bonus. Every day is bonus. So why not approach it as adventure? And so my husband and I, we use that phrase a lot. Even if it's a new restaurant, let's go be an adventure. Everything's an adventure, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It just lowers the temp in gratitude, I guess. I can't find the word I'm looking for. I'll just say it raises the expansion, the opportunity for gratitude and wonder and curiosity.
It's so fascinating listening to you because
I had an experience. Let me just say, I
yeah,
just got back
go.
in town and we were in Palm Springs, the desert. And I never really was drawn to the desert. I thought of the desert as being beige. This time, I really saw the beauty of the desert.
Mm.
Textures, right? Palm Springs is irrigated. So there's all this, we were on a golf course, all of this vibrant green in the desert, next to desert plants, next to palm trees, next to the lower mountain range, next to snow-capped mountains, all in one view. I'm like, my goodness, the texture in this one spot. And I want to see people that way. I want to see myself that way. Layers and textures and beauty, seasons, all that stuff.
So, what will it take for you to catch up to yourself? Because it exudes out of you.
Mm. I think surrender. Yeah, that's the word that comes to mind. Actually, that was my word for the year. A lot of people look for a word for the
Yeah.
year. And I don't always, it's a word or phrase, what have you, but surrender. I had two, and surrender and intention were my words for this year. And so I want to see how they manifest.
What are the barriers in your mind or the barriers systemically that
Mhm.
prevent you from seeing the magnitude of gifts and how you're made? It's not like you're conceited about it, but we're made certain ways. We can't help it. So, what's in your mind and what are systems that might prevent you? Because I don't think you're the only one that prevents themselves from the power of who they are.
I think one of the lies I've told myself, I've shared this with you, one of the reasons why I love watching what you're doing is that, what are you doing? Starting all these new things at your big age, right? I'm in my 60s now. But the truth is, well, what better time
Right.
to do what I'm doing? What I have I have wisdom, I have life experience, I have resources, I have more control over how I spend my time. I've raised my children, they're grown. What better time to do what I'm doing, to learn something new, to share my life and what God has allowed me to learn and to give. But that lie still wants to repeat itself. And so I have to battle that lie at times. Oh gosh, systemic. I think there is a systemic, or one of the populations, I think many people are experiencing it, but one of the populations that I think is being sought to be depressed and oppressed are Black women, women in general.
Yes.
I would say Black women in particular.
Yes.
I think that's a battle. And I think what I battle in that space is a righteous anger that I want to channel into righteous movement as opposed to getting stuck in anger, because I am a fighter. And that is um, there's there's a space for anger that is not
Yes.
always expressed healthfully. So I would like to navigate and carry along folks with me. Let's navigate this well. There's no movement to suppress your voice unless your voice is important.
That's very
Right?
well said.
That's a total waste of energy and resources to suppress a voice that's unimportant. So we have something to say. There's something we women of color have to say. There's some power that we possess that is threatening to systemic to the system. So we got to rise, not by the line.
It is threatening to the system and liberating for all of us, which is very, and there's a difference between fighting for and fighting against. And I always say if I could have Black women lead the world, that would be the way I'd want to go. Maybe not every single Black woman, but but
Sure.
the
Yeah.
ones that are in touch with their knowing and their power and their vision and their truth. That's who ought to be leading us. And it is very threatening. It's threatening for white women. It's threatening for white men. I think it's sometimes threatening for Black men too. I think it's just threatening because there's a power in Black women that is amazing.
It is beautiful to hear that from a white woman, to be seen, right?
Hmm.
And not viewed, and to lend your voice to empowering. You said my introduction to you is through a couple of younger than me, but Black women that you have worked with, and that they can't say enough. I know a lot of your clientele are Black women.
That's right.
We are drawn to your authenticity
Hmm.
and through your how you value us as individuals. I don't know how rare you are. You seem to be very rare. You're certainly rare in my experience. This acceptance and love that includes history
Hmm.
and struggle and potential and just all of the things that we often haven't had the freedom to embody even for ourselves. And so I love that part of the movement. I think struggle is part of growth. We have to push against something a lot of times
Right.
to move forward. And I think this is all part of it, all part of it. I have not lost hope in this season. I think
Good.
when you think about like weeds, right? I live in the suburbs, and all summer long we're popping the heads off weeds and dumping chemicals on them, trying to get our lawns to look beautiful, right? And by July, our lawns are nice and smooth, and the grass is green, and we think we've killed the weeds, but no, we have not. We've
Right.
just limited their access to energy from the top. Root system's getting deep, because guess what's going to happen in the next month or so? Put up all over our yards, and here we go again, because we did not kill where the source of energy really is. It goes underneath. And so I think that this is maybe an underneath time
It is.
where our system is getting strong, connecting, and we will blow up above ground when the season is right, when the season comes.
That's right. And sometimes Donna James said this once to me. She said, sometimes, Suzanne, you have to plant seeds and you may not see the growth, but don't stop planting.
The gifts of her wisdom and her experience, generously.
When I was listening to you and your husband, the word safety came up. If you all haven't listened to the podcast, it's great. It's her and her husband. It's the last one of season 4 of her podcast. What's the name of your podcast? Let's have it for our listeners.
Tales from the Shaker. Tales from the Shaker.
Okay, great. Because I'm telling you want to listen. All right. So, but what does safety mean for you? Why is that important?
It was funny because we had a little tit for tat about safety in the conversation, because it's not a word that he uses, but I think it's something that certainly we have with each other, and it's this freedom to be who you are in the moment, strong, weak, right, wrong, and you're not only protected, but my image of you, my feelings toward you are not affected negatively by this moment, even if this is a tough moment. So I know that's a word that I use a lot in therapy. Certainly it's pretty common in the vernacular now. A lot of women in our conversations, we use it. He thought that was kind of a funny word, or he used something else. I can't remember exactly. When I listen to that podcast with he and I, that's what I see. I see our safety. I knew he was going to take charge and rid me. I should have been prepared with my stories to get back at him. But it was fun, and it was us, without denying we've had some tough spaces. And I think it's part of the story. I would rather not have them when I'm having them. Right? Who wants that? But my goodness, if you look on your experiences as part of the journey, then you take the value from them, and you can learn from them. And you can be curious about them. That whole curiosity versus judgment thing is huge to me.
Absolutely.
I hope that's what I gathered when I listened to. I have to listen back to the conversation, because you're in the moment. I don't know what we said until I got the audio and listened to the conversation. So,
how do you find safety, and how do you find that inside of you?
Myself.
Yeah.
For me, I've had to learn stillness in, certainly literally physically sitting myself still as part of it. I will be scattered all over the place, but to be able to still my mind. I love that we began in preparation for the podcast, this episode. We breathed for a moment. We were mindful of our bodies and space. And we set an intention for the conversation. And those practices are how I find myself, where I get still. I do journal. I've taken a lot of rules off journaling. It could be a word. It could be an observation. It doesn't have to be. Journaling scares a lot of people. You've got to write Dear Diary or Dear God and a whole thing about your day and all of your thoughts. I start with trying to write 2 or 3 things that I'm grateful for, and I don't judge them. Some days it might just be grateful for a good cup of coffee. That might be all I can muster, but I'll take it. I'll take it. It's training my mind, training my spirit to look for those things, to stay in a space of reception, of surrender. And so that's how I'm inside of myself. And I think I'm learning to be open to more voices, not afraid of hearing something that is contrary to what I'm accustomed to or what I think is useful. Eat the fish and spit out the bones, but you don't get all the fish. If you don't eat the fish, I can spit out the bones. I can trust my mind, my experience, my intuition, my spirit to filter out what I don't need, but I might miss a nugget because it comes from a source I don't recognize or don't off immediately respect. I can spit out the bones.
It comes back to listening to you spitting out the bones, back to curiosity instead of judgment. And
Mhm.
that's lingering. And what's lingering for me today is I feel so strongly you are so meant to be here. I feel so strongly you are divinely on purpose, and there is more to come from you. I just feel it. I don't know what that is, but I want you to lay down everything you have inside of you and leave nothing behind, because I think there is so much inside of you listening to you.
I received that. And I am seeking to surrender my fears, my own self judgment,
Yeah.
trying to apply to myself what I can freely give to others,
Yeah.
beginning to look at barriers. Trauma is a big word in the vernacular right now. I get, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but when clinical words are used in mass speak, it concerns me that definitions get distorted. But my own traumas and embracing all of that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
do believe that we live our lives, certainly not just for ourselves, but for others, for the collective. And
Yes. And I
I
believe
want to
that,
do my part.
yeah, we're made a certain way. We're unique. I just, like I said, I always talk about white supremacy is a false lie about individuals in a hierarchy that isn't
Mhm.
true, right? It's not true. And, and we're uniquely made. And in our unique expression, that is a unique way we're made to serve in a particular way. Um, it was a Baptist church here in Akron. We're doing a 4-part series with an interfaith group of 5 churches in a temple. And it was about food insecurity. And the preacher that night, it was like nothing I've ever heard before. It was about Joseph. And in a famine, Joseph still gave grains that he had access to. And he kept saying, we have all been prepared to provide. Think about that for a second. Everything that you have been through, you have been prepared to provide. In the unique way that you're made to provide through your life experience, through, the hardships, the beauty, the bounty. And you have a living example of a queen, a truth teller in Thelma that I believe is going to live on inside of you in some way. I don't know. She's here today, and
I don't know. Sure feels like it.
it feels like it. We started with her. I feel like we're ending with her.
Yeah.
We do have to begin to wind down for today. A couple things. First, can you please let our listeners know, because you're an author, you're a speaker, you have a podcast, you're a therapist, you're a wife, mother, grandmother, many things. How can people get a hold of you?
I would say 2 reservoirs. Let's go. My website is daviastevenson.com, and you can connect to the podcast, and you can buy my book on the book, A Month of Sundays, Elevating Self-Care to Soul Care is the name of my book. You can purchase that through links on my website or my Instagram at Davia Williams Stevenson. The link tree will connect you to all things. And I think my Instagram feed gives you a good feel for who I am. There's clips from the podcast. There's little tidbits that I share about things I'm learning and sharing, or pieces of my life, so you can see I'm a real person.
Awesome.
Those are the 2.
And when I ask you this question, just whatever comes first, what do you think the purpose for life is?
Love God and love each other. I think that's the purpose, and how that works out through your individual life and your experiences. If through those things you embody love, you give love, you receive love, you're executing the purpose.
Thank you. I was just going to say, what would you like to leave our listeners with? But I just think you laid a blessing on us. So I thank you for that. Thank you all for listening here today. So glad to have you here. This is the Purpose for Life podcast. And I'm the author of It's Deeper Than That and the founder of The Great Reconnection. Subscribe, and we look forward to having you back with us again. Thank you.